Sunlight hit my face, warming the pillows. 9 o'clock in the morning on Mother's Day. I rolled over, expecting the smell of burnt pancakes or the muffled sound of cartoons echoing down the hallway. The house was entirely dead. I pulled on a robe, walked into the living room, and checked the driveway through the front blinds. His car was gone. I told myself they were setting up a surprise. They went out for flowers, or maybe they were picking up a cake from the bakery across town. I sat on the edge of the couch, folded my hands in my lap, and waited. 10 o'clock passed, then 11. The silence in the house grew heavier by the minute. My chest tightened until my ribs ached. By noon, my hands were shaking. I grabbed my phone from the kitchen counter and opened social media. Right at the top of my feed, a video auto-played. My husband, Marcus, sat by a luxury resort pool, grinning behind expensive designer sunglasses and clinking a mimosa with his brother, Derek, next to them. My 2 kids splashed happily in the bright blue water. Below the video, the caption glared back at me. Surviving the warden's weekend off? #freed-dad. The air vanished from my lungs. My phone buzzed in my palm. A text from Marcus lit up the screen. Relax. You are always stressed. We are giving you some me time. Do not ruin this for the kids. My stomach twisted into knots. He was using my own children as human shields to paint me as a nagging burden. A warden. For 16 years, I built my entire existence around him. I am 39 years old, and I spent the last decade and a half swallowing my own ambitions so he could comfortably chase his. I managed the house. I handled the late-night fevers and the emergency room visits. I balanced the budget when his marketing career was struggling. I was the invisible foundation holding up his perfect, polished life. They took my youth, my energy, and my peace, and turned it into a public punchline. But today, the joke was ending. I stared at the screen. My hands stopped shaking. I am a high school teacher. I spend 5 days a week dealing with bullies, temper tantrums, and desperate attempts for attention. I recognize the taunt perfectly. Marcus wanted a reaction. He wanted me to call him screaming, crying, and begging for an explanation. He wanted the chaotic, crazy wife so he could roll his eyes at his brother and play the ultimate victim. I set the phone face down on the coffee table. I swallowed the hard lump in my throat and walked back into the kitchen. I poured a glass of cold water and drank it slowly. The deafening silence in the house stopped feeling like a punishment and started feeling like a sanctuary. I refused to give him the chaos he was begging for. He came back late Sunday night. The front door banged open, carrying the heavy smell of chlorine, expensive cologne, and stale liquor. Marcus stumbled into the living room, completely ignoring me, sitting quietly in the armchair. He collapsed onto the sofa, his tablet resting on his chest. And within 10 minutes, he was snoring loudly. He thought he was untouchable. He thought I was too broken, too submissive, and too dependent to ever challenge him. I walked over to the sofa. I looked down at the man I married. His jaw was slack. His breathing was heavy. I did not need to guess complex passwords or hack into a secure network. I simply lifted his right hand, gently pressed his sleeping thumb against the biometric sensor of the tablet, and the screen glowed to life. I transferred his recent files straight to my phone, turning off the screen before he even shifted in his sleep. One glance at my phone confirmed my absolute worst nightmares. Sitting right there in his main drive was a folder named Phase Out. It was a cruel, step-by-step psychological manual. He had outlined exactly how to drain our assets, how to alienate Brooke and Cody from me, and how to manipulate me into a severe mental breakdown so I would not have the strength to fight the divorce. He had detailed spreadsheets. He had legal timelines, and infinitely worse. He had bank receipts. He had legally, but incredibly unethically, transferred $85,000 from our joint high-yield savings account. That was the money we verbally agreed was exclusively for the kids' college fund. He used it to secure a luxury downtown bachelor pad and fund his upcoming solo vacations. This was not a Mother's Day prank. It was a calibration test. Narcissists push you away just to see if you will crawl back on your knees. He abandoned me to see exactly how much blatant disrespect I would tolerate before snapping. He wanted to measure my compliance. He needed to know if I was broken enough to let him walk away with everything we built. Monday morning, I bypassed every single administrative hurdle and drove straight to the office of Spencer, a ruthless family law attorney. I laid the phone on his heavy mahogany desk. Spencer read the phase-out document in total silence. He reviewed the $85,000 transfer. 10 minutes later, Spencer filed a title lock on my house with the county clerk. He legally flagged the massive withdrawal as a dissipation of marital assets. Marcus was now entirely blocked from secretly leveraging our property. That afternoon, I met Brooke and Cody at a diner near their middle school. They slid into the vinyl booth looking terrified. They expected me to yell. They expected me to badmouth their father and demand their allegiance. I ordered them milkshakes and treated them like young adults. I asked them how the resort was. Cody looked at the table. Brooke picked nervously at a paper napkin. They confessed Marcus forced them to film that video by the pool. He told them I was too tired to come and would be furious if they bothered me with phone calls. I reached across the table and held their hands tightly. I validated their extreme discomfort. I told them I loved them unconditionally and that none of this adult mess was their fault. I secured their loyalty through genuine love, not emotional manipulation. When I brought them home, Marcus was sitting casually at the kitchen island, scrolling through his phone. I smiled at him. I asked him about his day. I served him a warm dinner. This is the absolute power of the silent pivot. Abusers feed heavily on your chaos. When you act completely normal, when you starve them of the emotional reaction they desperately crave, they unravel from the inside out. Marcus watched me wash the dishes, his brow furrowed in deep confusion. He was fighting a massive war in his head, and I simply refused to show up to the battlefield. I kept my voice steady, my movements calm, and my face blank. 2 weeks later, Marcus had his massive corporate promotion dinner at a luxury country club. He fully expected me to play the perfect smiling trophy wife for his colleagues. The trap was set long before we ever left the house. While Marcus took a long, arrogant shower to get ready, he left his work laptop sitting wide open on our bed. I calmly walked over to the mattress. I deleted his master presentation file entirely. I dragged my own document to his desktop and renamed it with the exact same title, Q3 Marketing Strategy Final. I closed the laptop and set it exactly where I found it. We drove to the country club in silence. I wore a stunning black dress. I sat right at the center executive table and sipped my red wine. Marcus schmoozed endlessly with the senior partners soaking up their praise. He confidently stepped up to the podium to present his grand Family First marketing campaign. The entire banquet room went totally quiet. He plugged in his laptop. He opened the file himself. His own hand pulled the trigger. The giant projector behind him flashed to life. Instead of marketing data and consumer graphs, the screen broadcasted the phase-out manual in massive letters. The next slide showed the ClearBank transfers, proving unequivocally that he stole $85,000 from his own kids. The executives gasped aloud. The chief executive officer dropped his silver fork onto his china plate with a loud clatter. Marcus froze instantly. Thick sweat beaded on his forehead. His eyes darted around the room in absolute terror, realizing his entire pristine image was disintegrating in real time. He looked directly at his brother Derek for backup. Derek visibly paled, stood up quickly from the table, and loudly muttered that he told Marcus not to mess with those family accounts. Derek scurried out the back doors into the night, saving himself and throwing his brother entirely under the bus. Marcus stammered uselessly into the microphone. I stood up slowly from my chair. I calmly walked to the podium. I placed the thick stack of divorce papers right on top of his keyboard. The silence in the room was deafening. I turned around, kept my head high, and walked out the front doors into the cool evening air. Marcus was fired the very next morning. His reputation in the industry was completely vaporized. He moved into his new downtown bachelor pad alone. Derek completely stopped taking his phone calls. I stayed in our house with Brooke and Cody, slowly building a quiet, peaceful life, but a true narcissist cannot stand losing control. Out of pure spite and sheer desperation, Marcus attempted one final lethal strike against me. He tried to take out a $150,000 equity loan on our house, aiming to leave me drowning in massive debt. He used a remote online notary service. He coerced his new naive girlfriend into sitting on the webcam and posing as me to forge my signature on the digital document. He submitted the application with a smug sense of victory. The bank server rejected it immediately. Spencer's early title lock stopped it cold in its tracks. Marcus' arrogant mind assumed it was just a minor computer glitch and gave up for the night. He had absolutely no idea Spencer received the automated title alert the second the application bounced. Spencer swiftly subpoenaed the remote video logs and the network addresses. He packaged this undeniable, time-stamped proof of federal wire fraud and aggravated identity theft and handed it directly to his contacts at the district attorney's office. Marcus inadvertently upgraded a standard civil divorce dispute into a major federal criminal case. 3 days later, Marcus walked into the polished marble lobby of his luxury apartment building holding a cup of premium coffee. 2 fraud detectives stepped directly in front of him, blocking his path to the elevators. They read him his rights loudly and placed him in heavy steel handcuffs right in front of his new wealthy neighbors. He was entirely blindsided, dropping his coffee onto the pristine floor. Spencer called me that very afternoon to confirm the district attorney officially took the case, congratulated me warmly on my freedom, and permanently closed his legal file. Derek lost his own corporate job 3 weeks later when the country club executives realized he was entirely complicit in the theft and lacked basic integrity. I was finally free. The immediate aftermath of taking your power back is rarely just a feeling of relief. It is a slow, methodical process of rebuilding the ground you stand on. The justice system worked exactly as it was supposed to. 6 months after his arrest, the judge sentenced Marcus to 4 years in a federal facility, citing the premeditated nature of the identity theft and wire fraud. The court also ordered full restitution, Every single penny of that $85,000 was returned to my accounts with interest, permanently securing my children's future. The social fallout was even more devastating for him than the legal one. The community we lived in, the neighbors we hosted for barbecues, and the parents at the school entirely turned their backs on him. They did not just pity me, they respected me. Marcus lost his freedom, but long before the gavel fell, he lost his mask. A few months into his sentence, the inevitable happened. The hollow echo of a defeated manipulator tried to reach me one last time. A handwritten letter arrived in my mailbox, stamped by the facility. I opened it standing at the kitchen counter. He wrote pages about how much he missed his family. He claimed he did everything because he was under immense pressure. He tried to pull the oldest string in the book, reminding me that we shared 16 years of history. Hoping I would feel a twinge of guilt, I read the first paragraph, folded the letter calmly, and dropped it straight into the trash can. I did not feel angry. I did not feel sad. I felt absolutely nothing. Indifference is the ultimate weapon against someone who feeds on your emotional energy. By throwing that letter away, I proved to myself that he no longer occupied a single inch of space in my mind. My life today is unrecognizable from the quiet misery I lived in before. The heavy, suffocating tension that used to fill this house is completely gone. I have surrounded myself with a chosen family, friends who show up, who listen, and who treat me with the genuine respect I always deserved. Our Sunday dinners are loud, filled with laughter, and completely free of anxiety. Brooke and Cody are thriving. They see a mother who stands tall, who protects her boundaries fiercely, and who refuses to be treated like a disposable appliance. If you are watching this, and my story sounds painfully familiar, I need you to listen to me very carefully. People who operate like Marcus do not see partners. They do not see human beings with beating hearts and breaking souls. They see appliances. They see tools designed to make their lives easier, more comfortable, and more successful. And the second that appliance stops working exactly the way they want, or the second they find a newer model, they will try to throw it away as quietly and ruthlessly as possible. Surviving them requires a complete shift in how you view love and loyalty. Through the fire of this experience, I learned 3 critical life rules that saved my sanity and my future. Rule number 1, the absolute loudest response to disrespect is total silence. When someone betrays you, they expect you to scream. They expect you to fight. They want your chaos because it proves they still control your emotions. When you give them nothing, when you pivot and act with cold, calculated indifference, you strip them of all their power. You starve them of the reaction they need to survive. Rule number 2, document everything now and grieve later. When the illusion shatters, your first instinct is to fall apart. You want to cry, mourning the life you thought you had, but grief is a luxury you cannot afford when you are under attack. Your financial survival, your children's safety, and your legal standing depend on your ability to stay sharp, gather the receipts, take the screenshots, secure the accounts. You will have plenty of time to cry in a beautiful, safe home after you have won the war. Rule number 3, never, under any circumstances, let someone convince you that basic respect is a luxury. Loyalty does not mean staying quiet while someone actively destroys you. Blood and history do not obligate you to endure abuse. You are allowed to walk away from people who hurt you, even if you share a last name, a mortgage, or a decade of memories. Trust is earned every single day. And the moment it is weaponized against you, your only obligation is to yourself. Look closely at the people sitting at your table right now. Watch how they speak to you when you are tired. Watch how they react when you say no. Are they truly there to share the meal with you? Or are they just waiting for you to pick up the check? If you have ever had to burn your own life down just to stop someone else from stealing the ashes, share this video. You are not crazy. You are not alone. And you are so much stronger than the people who tried to break you. I know exactly what you are screaming at the screen right now. You are sitting there yelling, why on earth did Vanessa stay for 16 years? Why didn't she just pack her bags and call a lawyer the very second she saw that cruel resort video on Mother's Day? It is incredibly easy to judge from the outside, but let us look at the deep psychology of what was actually happening in that house. Vanessa was not weak, and she certainly was not stupid. She was trapped in something behavioral experts call the slot machine effect, formerly known as intermittent reinforcement. Toxic manipulators like Marcus do not treat you terribly 100% of the time. If they did, you would simply walk out the door. Instead, they give you just enough crumbs of hope, a peaceful morning coffee, a shared laugh over the kids, a brief glimpse of the partner you thought you married. They keep you pulling the lever, year after agonizing year, hoping that this time you will finally hit the jackpot of a stable, happy family. You become addicted to the potential of the relationship, completely blinded to the reality of the abuse. But the moment Vanessa broke that addiction, she delivered an absolute masterclass in financial self-defense. Let us break down her smart survival mechanics, because this is how you actually win. First, she utilized the audit strategy. When the illusion shattered, she did not start a screaming match. She gathered the receipt by quietly waiting for him to pass out and using his own thumbprint to secure the phase-out manual. She focused entirely on building the case. She tracked exactly where that $85,000 went. Manipulators thrive in the chaotic fog of your emotions, but they absolutely panic when confronted with hard, documented logic. She followed the money instead of the drama. Next, she executed a flawless preemptive strike. Before Marcus even knew he was at war, Vanessa went straight to Spencer and slapped a title lock on her property. This is a crucial concept I call the buyout. You must invest in your legal and financial perimeter before the real confrontation begins, because she built that wall early. Marcus's desperate attempt at remote notary fraud to steal $150,000 bounced off her shield and ricocheted directly into a federal wire fraud felony. She applied strict logic guardrails to her exit strategy, leaving zero loose ends. That is the ultimate street smart lesson here. True power is not screaming the loudest at a country club dinner. It is letting the villain's own massive ego dig a grave, while you quietly secure the legal paperwork to bury it. Now, the house no longer feels like a place where I survived. It feels like a place where I live. The silence Marcus once used to punish me has become the sound of safety. Brooke and Cody laugh louder now. They leave backpacks in the hallway, argue over cereal, and sleep without the heavy tension that used to press against every wall. The money he stole was returned. The house is protected. The future he tried to drain from his own children is back where it belongs. Sometimes a letter arrives. Sometimes an old memory does too. but neither one has the power to pull me backward anymore. I used to think 16 years meant I owed him one more conversation, one more explanation, one more chance. Now, I understand that time spent being used is not a debt. It is evidence. Love does not require you to be humiliated on Mother's Day. Marriage does not give someone the right to empty your accounts. And family is not proven by history. It is proven by protection. The door is locked now. The title is safe. The children are safe. And the woman he tried to phase out finally owns every part of her life. Your peace of mind, your dignity, and your financial security are strictly non-negotiable. Never let an entitled partner convince you that basic human respect is a luxury you have to earn. Have you ever had to run a quiet audit on a toxic relationship to win your freedom back? Tell me your smartest survival strategies down in the comments below. And make sure to hit subscribe so we can decode the next story together.